Should be back, hopefully. Don't know what caused that. I just heard it disconnect and reconnect. I'm just waiting for the adverts in case you get them. If you've got ad blocker, of course, you're probably listening to me now, but I'm just waiting while the advert finishes. And welcome back. Sorry, don't know what happened there. I was going to say, you don't think we've got transcoding, do you? Somehow I don't think so, but I have no idea why that just disconnected and reconnected at all. I was going to say, if we have got transcoding, it's a poor state of affairs on Twitch tonight. Yeah, so that was what was I saying? I don't know. I was just saying I think the images at the bottom left are of things that have been things that have been done on stream, and the jewellery is in the shop, but the things like the pyrography and the scraper rod, which will appear there from time to time, that hasn't yet made it into the store. I need to, certainly for the scraper board, I need to get some protective varnish to go over the top of it first, because otherwise it will very easily get damaged, and that obviously is not the intent. Now then, yeah. And of course, you'll see on screen there's a Facebook link now. I've actually created a, well, it's a page for the shop really, I suppose, but Zaraganat is on Facebook, so you are quite welcome to follow me on there. It's kind of, I don't know, I feel like one big advert tonight. What with just having put stuff on eBay and just started the Etsy page, sorry, the Facebook page, and I am still trying to get the website up and running, but everything else just keeps taking priority. And daft as it sounds, streaming for 2 hours on a night kind of doesn't help doing any of that, because I finish streaming, then I have a drink, then I go to bed, so I don't have a lot of time to do some of the other things apart from weekends, and they are really busy at the moment, taken up with work that's necessary for the new studio next year. That's still moving forward. I'm hoping. Well, the letter now, it's now looking like it won't complete till the end of 6 months into the year, so sort of end of summer. But we should have a new studio, which will be nice. I'll have more space. Right, now we start to make this shape a little bit more obvious. I mean, I think it's really obvious, but that's because I know what it is. Actually, the colour should give you a bit of a clue as well. Now then, does that? Yes, that does go over the top of there, I think. Come on! No. Now then. That's like that, and that wants to go there. Yep. So through there. And up that way. That's where I was going wrong. Am I still going wrong? Yes, I'm still... Yeah. That one. I was almost going... Well, I was about to say I was almost going wrong. I could have gone through either pair of rings, but this one will do right. There we go. I'll put it down on the desk and give you a chance to take a look at it in just a moment. See if the bit that I've done so far gives it away. And I'm also hoping this week to get at least one YouTube video up. The first pyrography that I did on stream, I think, was Felix, and I've got a time lapse of that particular piece of pyrography, which I intend to put up. Now then, I think have I made a mistake? I think I've made a mistake. Yeah, I have. That's good, isn't it? That's clever. Well, it's not clever, but you know what I mean. Actually, no, I can get away with it. Hey, how's that? So I'm not sure if that sort of shape means anything to anybody. Is that right? It is right, yes. I'm looking at this and thinking, am I doing it right? I think so. I think so. So that wants to go into there. Right, so if I put that. That'd be awesome. Oh, the time lapse, yeah. When I actually one of the difficulties with getting the time lapse up was that in practice there's 12 sessions of streaming that particular piece was done over. That means that there's 24 hours of video, which had to have all the extraneous bits cut out of, with things like me explaining something completely different, or when I was just talking without doing anything. And when I do that, there's when I took all that stuff out, there's 11.5 hours of video, and then the problem then became finding a video application that would actually handle time-lapse on 11.5 hours of video, because most of them won't. Well, I suppose Adobe Premiere might, you know, being a professional application, but most of them either wouldn't handle that length of video, or they would time-lapse it, but it would still be sort of 2 hours long, which of course is completely pointless for YouTube, because nobody wants to watch a time lapse that long, and even with the application which is that I'm using, which is the Premiere Essentials, that refuses to do it less than 35 minutes. It's all this streaming like you end up with all this things like technology and stuff that you've got to sort out in order to be actually able to do it. Right, yeah, we're getting closer. Right. come back here. Now then, that's gonna go and join onto there. Okay. I'm actually thinking I sort of half made a prototype. I've got a feeling I probably made it with slightly thicker rings, but we will see how this turns out. I ought to keep better records of my prototypes. That way I know just what I've made things out of. Ah! There we go. Hopefully the buffering has stopped for you, Fluffy Twiglet. You know, when I started this, thinking, oh, there's only 42 rings, it won't take very long. And we've been going now 50 minutes. If I'd made, mind you, 42 large rings, I don't know how many small rings, and of course I should really add those on, because it doesn't actually take it, you know, the size of the ring kind of doesn't matter. It takes as long to close, in fact I mentioned it earlier, possibly longer to close a small ring than it does to close a large ring. There's probably more rings in this than a Byzantine bracelet, and that takes an hour to make, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised at how long this is taking, but where's my pattern? Which is the shape? Where's the shape? Oh, there it is. Nobody guessed yet? Exilian, good evening. Welcome. Now that goes like that. You possibly could, you possibly could try, if it's still being a problem to you, Fluffy Twiglet, you could try something that 3D used to do when he had a problem with buffering, and that is host the channel and then watch your own stream. So you watch the hosted stream rather than the but that occasionally worked, and in theory it shouldn't, but it did for some reason. Right, now I need to join that in the right place. That's going to go on there, right. Yeah, this Japanese weave stuff. They're in half a lot of little, a lot of tiny rings that have to go into things to join them all together. Oh boy. That one's opening up a little bit more. And see if I can get hold of that. Yeah, I think I'm going to end up with maybe getting myself a Christmas present of magnifier, a craft magnifier, one of these that sits on your head. So I'll look silly on the stream, but what the heck, I'll be able to see, which will help. Right. So we're almost halfway there. Yeah. I was hoping that this would take me, 10 10 minutes. And then I'll be able to have I got something else, a different not a different weave, but a different way of colouring a weave, just to try it out. It looks like I might have to leave that until tomorrow. Right, I now need some more little tiny red rings out, but there we're about halfway through. At this rate I'm using more red rings than I expected. So how many have I used? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36. I've used 37. Wow. That probably means I'm going to use close to 80 tiny red rings on this piece. Which is not surprising why it's taking longer than expected then, because that's 120 rings in total. Well, over 120 rings for this piece, which I would not have thought. In some ways it's not surprising, I suppose, given that there's what, 2, 4, 6, 8, there's going to be 12 rings through most of the big red ones. So Japanese, the style would be called 12 in 2, I guess. Clarybug, you're back. I didn't know you'd gone. Not that you used to tell me or anything, of course, but welcome back. Everybody's been chilled out tonight, by the sound of it, with the music, and I guess watching somebody twist metal rings is somewhat mesmerising. I suppose I should do it a little bit more towards the camera, shouldn't I? I'm trying my best to stay in frame, so it's very easy just to slip out of frame. So if I start doing that, just let me know. Alright. No. Nope, you haven't. So the bracelet, that was all. Okay, I've opened a few more of these rings, so I'll just weave a few more, and then we can open some more red ones if necessary. It's not the most riveting thing watching somebody open rings. Critical part of the craft, of course, but it's not the most riveting. Right. Okay. Okay, well, we'll take a look in just a moment. You sure your friend wasn't just insulting you and saying you were looking 50, not 50s? Actually, I haven't looked at the picture yet, so... I wouldn't know, to be honest. Different. Trying to think. Looks okay. Don't know what it looked like before, so it kind of doesn't look different because there's no comparison. But it looks okay. It looks nice. Plus, it looks a bit like a school teacher in a way. You're doing, actually, I was just thinking in the picture then, you're doing what one of our cats used to do. You're wearing glasses. We had a cat called... Actually, I can't remember what he was called now. It's gone out of my brain. But he was a cat that always looked very intelligent because... just the way his fur was and the way he'd look at you, he always looked like he was looking over the top of his glasses. So he always looked like an extremely intelligent cat. I am now desperately, not desperately, but I am now trying to remember his name. Popcorn, Morala, Cassidy. It was Cassidy. Yeah, Cassidy. Yeah, the 4 kittens. Cleo had 4 kittens, and Cassidy was one of them. Popcorn was one. Morala was the other. What was the other female? Because it was 2 males and 2 females. No, it's not coming to mind. Well, this ring is being awkward. Switch pliers because, although the ones I was using actually are my favourite pliers because they're a parallel jaw. Difference between them is, if you look at the two, these you can see are V-shaped, and yet these close parallel to each other, which means if I get hold of a ring, for example, there's not a tendency to squeeze it out the front, which there is with these sorts of pliers. These kind of hold it strongly, and especially if you get hold of a ring like that across its face, it actually holds it in both places. Whereas if I do the same thing with this sort of pliers, it's actually only being held at the back. The front is a little bit loose, which means it can slip, and indeed that's what's happening there. And that's when you start to scratch things. But the noses on these are a little bit sort of thick, whereas these are a little bit thinner. So occasionally these get in better, but I prefer using the others. Before the end of this night's out, I'm going to end up after asking Lady Zara what the other cat was called, just for my own peace of mind, because it's kind of bugging me a little bit. I'm not particularly OCD, but just sometimes certain things like that. Sorry, I'm off frame. Bug me until I resolve whatever it is. And other times I can just go, what the heck, and I forget all about it. Yes, I should have. Just come back here. Just put a piece of white paper on the desk. Make it a bit easier for me to see with. The wooden desk is a little bit of a low contrast with the red rings. You've lost it. Oh, that's no good. Can't go around losing tools. They're the most important thing. Look after your tools. Always put them away after you've used them and things like that. I think the cream cake fairy has arrived, and it won't be cream cakes. We were in the local supermarket the other night, and they were basically selling off some things like jam donuts. A pack of 5 jam donuts for 5p. It's kind of an irresistible number, is that? We got quite a few packs, and then there was things like Belgian buns and things like that, also for 5p. Oh, blimey. Yep, that's different. That is quite a change. About now I start wishing I'd made this with just one joining ring between each of the things rather than two, but it probably wouldn't have looked quite as good, so I get impatient sometimes, which is kind of unusual for me, in that I want it to be done. Don't know about the cutters, because generally speaking, cutters, but it really depends on what you're cutting with cutters, and there is an element of you get what you pay for with cutters, because you need you ideally need something that's got a sharp edge and stays sharp. And often for things like jewellery use, you want like what do they call them now, edge cutters, or that didn't work, or side cutters. I don't happen to have a pair around here, but they don't look like side. It does say side cutters. Okay, they might be okay. Side cutters have a flat edge, flat side, so when you're cutting wire it cuts vertically on one side, but on the other side it creates like a V shape, and generally speaking you often want the vertical. So like these rings, which they're not cut with cutters but they're cut with a saw, but they're you get a vertical edge which allows the two to butt up to each other and become invisible, and I've missed a ring out of that. But generally speaking, for pliers, it's difficult to tell. That they look okay. I have seen those in the shop, so they looked okay in the shop, but one of the things you can't really tell until you actually get hold of them. Where's the... Here we go. As kind of as an example, I got these when I first started doing the chainmail, and they're of a similar style, and you'll notice I'm using these rather than these, and that is because over a couple of hours, these are essentially the handles are just the metal. They're dipped in a plastic, so you get the coated handle. But after a couple of hours, I was making my handsaw because of the pressure from trying to hold them closed. Now there was one of the primary reasons for that is the spring that's in the middle that opens them. When I got these, that spring was too strong. And I basically had to really use a lot of force to close the jaws to be able to hold anything, and that obviously was causing the stress on my hand, which is why I went to these ergonomic ones. So it's a wider handle, and it spreads the load out. But you can see I've actually modified these. I'll show you on this. I've actually modified them. One of the springs is bent back, so it's not actually it's only using one of the springs rather than the two, and that's, they were relatively cheap. These are not expensive, but they were, you know, for me, they've turned out to be a better value than those were. But I've not actually tried those in Hobbycraft. I've seen them, but I've not tried them. So it's difficult to say. Usually speaking, tools, good quality tools, cost a bit, shall we say. They don't have to be expensive, but they're generally, you know, you don't get them for a 50p each type of thing. Where did I get them? Off eBay, actually. Have I got the... Let's have a look. I'll just have a quick look, see if I can see. Stop being helpful. Thank you. That was the eBay seller that I got these from. Worth a shot for £11. If you can go in the store and actually try them, because you can generally use them out of the packet, that would be best. Say they look like that style, so if you're lucky and the springs aren't too strong, then yes, they'll be okay to do some things with. I'd probably be you know, if you were going to do them for hours on end, then you'd be looking for more sort of ergonomic handles. But equally well, you could take something like this and you know, like foam rubber, slip foam, like a foam rubber binding over them, or a material binding of some kind, just to pad them out a little bit. You know, wrap them with a little bit of foam. So you could do something like that if they started to hurt. But it's generally, I mean, these would have been okay, sort of, as I say, if they hadn't had such a strong spring on them. Right. Do some more of this. This should start. This is starting to look like what it is that it's meant to be. I say starting. I kind of feel like Magnus Magnusson. I've started, so I'm going to finish. I'm going to complete this tonight. And for those of you who have no idea who he is, he was the host of Mastermind. And that was almost the catchphrase. When the buzzer went for the end of the round. If you'd already started the question, that's what it'd say. I've started, therefore I'll finish. Oh, come on, rings. Did you know if you talk to rings that they completely ignore you? Does no good whatsoever, but it makes you feel better. See, I'm not totally mad. I'm not as mad as a hatter. Which is actually, that phrase comes from, it actually reflects real life. A lot of hatters used to be mad, and so it is it has it's a phrase which has roots in real life. I can't remember exactly what it was, and I can't remember if it was lead poisoning or arsenic poisoning or something like that. But one of the things that the hatters used to use in the construction of hats was a toxic substance, and of course it got into their sort of bloodstream and turned them mad. So that's one of those things where the phrase comes from. It's like a lot of the old painters, obviously as well, got either lead or arsenic poisoning because they used to, the paints would contain the toxic compounds like that, and they'd lick the brush to get a point on it and then paint with it, and of course they'd be swallowing some of the poison. It looks awesome. Thank you very much. Has anybody worked out what it is yet? Hey, Fall Guy, good evening. You're currently looking at somebody who didn't realise that Japanese 12 in 2 means you've got 12 times as many small rings as you've got big ones. Actually 6 times as many because I'm doubling up, but yeah, this one it's not particularly tight. I could obviously make it tighter, but this one isn't particularly tight. But I'm doing it red on red, which is about I think it's probably, other than perhaps black on black, it's about the worst colour combination going, I think. Yep, there. Come on, there we go. Yeah, these, what's these? These are 19 gauge. 19 gauge 3/16s for the large ones, and I'm using what 20 gauge 7/64ths for the small ones, and I've missed one at the middle there. I actually want this to be quite small, so hence the size. Oh, come on. There we go. Yeah, they look like the same ones, Clavybug. They're not. Just be aware though that the I think those cutters. I don't think those cutters are edge cutters, but oh, they are. Yeah, they do. But yes, they. That's. You got a nice set of 4 there, and the case as well, which is nice. I got them as individual pliers, but that set looks okay. Now then, oh dear, dropping the things. This is fun when you want to try and insert a ring right in the middle. And by fun I mean not fun at all. So how are things going with you, 84 guy? I've not been watching streams for a long time, so notice you have been streaming, but not had a chance to watch. Now then, did I get that in? No, I didn't. I missed one. Excuse me, just fiddling around here. I'm trying to get one ring in place, and I've now lost the end of this tiny ring. I've no idea. Oh, there it is. I cannot see what I'm doing at all. In fact, they both missed that ring. Okay, right, well, that probably explains why I can't get that ring to go through. So let's open that one as well. Yeah, there's the end. And this is where frustration sits in. Now I've been really busy with some critical work at work, Eddie, and I have been working long hours, and at the after that, you know, it's either and literally late hours as well. So there's either been no time to stream, or I just haven't felt like doing anything at all. It's still kind of a bit intermittent now, so I'm not 100% back on work on a particular schedule, but I am trying to do a little bit more streaming as time allows. Now that would be okay if I close that ring properly. There we go. Ah. it kind of I was just thinking, you know, what I was just thinking then was, oh, you're giving up for it, but that's only about 2 weeks, isn't it? Until next year. Oh dear. Come on, open up a little bit more then. Around about this time of year, that sort of statement, you know, next year is starts getting misleading. No, I do not want you to wrap yourself around the other ring. Right, that's that one. Grab hold of that end. No, do not go through that. Ah dear. Or have you gone and sorted yourself out? No, you haven't. I kind of think it would probably have been better to unravel this and redo it, but I've now got it around where I want it to be, so I hope. Note to self, when doing this, don't miss out the rings in the middle. Because you'll regret it. Not immediately, but very soon. Yeah, this is just something that that came up really unexpected, and I had no choice. So I keep mentioning it to these guys, you know, AD, and if they get hundreds of thousands of people to watch me and you know, get partnered, then lots of people follow, you know, subscribe, then I'd be able to do this full time. I wouldn't need to work. I'm doing that way. Okay. You like you did, yeah. And when I was doing the Seashore Ripples one, which is a 6-in-1, and I at one point I'd accidentally turned it over without realising I'd done it, and of course, because it's got a diagonal pattern on it, the rings didn't line up as they should have done, because they don't on the back. And I having taken it apart and then realised that that's precisely what I'd done, I was kind of annoyed about that, but not as bad as you mentioned there. Yeah, I've had fun with the candy cane as well sometimes, because it's very easy to get a ring out of place on there, and then when you're trying to put those back, if it's a tight weave as one of them is, when you're trying to sort those out afterwards, boy, is that an exercise in frustration. because you can't open the rings really enough to get them past the other rings, but just because there isn't the space, and then but you need to. And hey, we've even had Clerrybug doing some ring work. I don't know if you want to show your bracelet, Clerrybug. For your first, depends on how fancy. I mean, the easiest ones are just the simple 1-in-1 or 2-in-1 chains. Like he says, digging into my box of chains here. Where is it? There we go. So you got a simple 2-in-2 chain, which of course is a fairly easy chain, or the 1-in-1, obviously just 1-in-1. It's a nice chain, but if you want something a little bit more fancy, probably one of the easier ones is it's probably Byzantine actually. I think I was going to say box chain, but I think Byzantine is probably a bit easier to get your mind around to start with, and it looks quite a fancy chain. But there are literally thousands. How do you spell that? You're asking me how to spell Byzantine. Oh, okay. B-Y-Z-A-N-T-I-N-E. That's what these are. That's correct. Now this is made with stretchy rings, but that's the Byzantine. It's the fold. It's the way these rings fold back. So it's a block of 6 rings, which are 2-in-2 chain, and then the last 2 you kind of fold back on themselves, and then you insert your next set of block of 6. And you just keep doing that. The box chain is very similar, except it's a block of 4, and you keep just folding them back. But Byzantine or box chain. Some of the others patterns are a lot harder to get started. Things like this one I'm wearing. If I get it out from under my cuff, I mean these sorts of things, which is a half Persian. Look really nice, but it's a pain in the neck to start until you understand the trick of doing it, it's really frustrating until you do work out how it works. But the Byzantine or the box is stable very quickly. You almost, with the 8th ring that you put in, or the 7th ring, it becomes stable. With something like the half Persians, you're into something like about 12, 15 rings before that becomes stable. And by stable, what I mean is if you accidentally drop it and pick it up slightly wrong, you can work out where you were with Byzantine. With something like this, you almost have to start again. You can work it out, but you can spend quite a long time, to the point where it's quicker just to start again. And Leopagekkobios. That's a complicated name. Thank you very much for the follow, that's very kind of you. That's almost as though there's, and I don't know if it's true, is there a kind of gecko called a leopard gecko? It sort of suggests that that's where the name came from, but I don't know. Yes, that's true. Once you've got one, got a length made. Just extend it and then detach it. Although I have found a trick now, AD Fall Guy, to starting the half Persians, which make it really easy. You had a leopard gecko. Ah, so I was right. There is such a thing, Claire. Okay, let's do a few more of these. I've opened a few. Making sure I put these inner ones in as well. I don't want a repeat of having to do what I just did with the ones I missed. I wish I could see these. There we go. And I will succeed in putting this ring on here at some point in the future. There we go. Nope, that's coming off. There we go. No, not particularly, actually. Oh, I will say I don't think it's particularly hard. There is a sort of a trick to doing the helm though. When you're trying to put the two rings like this, which are at right angle, you've kind of got to fold the big rings back, and it makes it a lot easier to get the rings under. Sort of the helm is sort of, you've kind of got two rings like that, and then you've got one between with another two rings sat on top there, like that. I don't know if you can see what I was doing. Do not try and set them up like that and then try and put a ring through the middle vertically down. It will drive you potty. What you kind of do is sort of just have the sort of put two side by side, if you like, so you sort of stack them. So you've got, it's almost like a set of four. I can't do it with these easily with these rings, but as you're doing it, if you've kind of like got a set of four with that one in, I can't easily, I'm not explaining this very well, but with it in between, how can I explain this? Sort of two like that, one there, and then two on top. You can get your ring through a lot easier, and then you just fold these last two, the two outer ones, you just fold back over and carry on. have a play, you'll kind of understand it when you're playing with it. But sorry, Eddie. Hang on a second. There you go. Would you like to try that again? It just stops the spam bots, Eddie, because of course they've got no. It immediately just kills the links. Of course, once you start reading those instructions, Clary Bug, you then find out that there are several thousand different weaves that you could try. Okay, this is nearly finished, but nearly is a little bit of a relative term when it's 12 in 1, or 12 in 2 rather. Now at this point I have to make sure I get this right, otherwise I will be kicking myself. Well, I won't actually kick myself, but I will be annoyed. And that's an excellent site, by the way, the male artisans. Oh, come on. Yeah, have you got a clasp yet for that, Claire? I'm going to say you can only twist rings open and close so many times before they actually break. Well, that's wear testing. I guess is a good thing to try out and stuff. Nearly there. Nearly there. I have another 2 large red rings to put in place, and then this piece will be, well, this bit will be done anyway. So I'll just hide that in my hand for the moment whilst I just open 4 more of these little rings. If I put it down now, it'll be up there. It'll be obvious what it is. So I'll just keep it hidden for the until I put these last 2 on, and then we can reveal it. Actually, you might already have seen it, I guess, if hanging down from the pliers, but so where did that ring just go? Oh, there it is. That shot off the desk rather quickly. Oh, come on. I've only got these last 2 to go on, and it's starting to be awkward. There we go. That's an interesting guess, 84 guy. I don't think anybody else made that guess. there we go. As Eddie mentioned, it's a heart. See if I can actually get this thing to. Yeah, got a cocktail stick there somewhere, but see if I can hang this from a pair of pliers. There we go. So a little bit of a heart-shaped pendant. Okay, well, we are now at 10:05. So I think since this took rather longer than I was expecting it to take, I was going to try something else tonight, but we'll try that tomorrow. I think we'll leave it where we are tonight. Having completed that, I was kind of determined that having started, I was going to finish. I'll do the usual pointing at the shop there, and just encourage people to take a look. I think it's good, but there you go. Moobot has been dropping the link into chat from time to time, so there is a link there, save you retyping it. Everybody else, what I want to do, and thanks for that, Claire, is say thank you for watching. It has been fun. I hope I will be on tomorrow night. I'm expecting to be, but it remains to be seen, I'm afraid. So for the rest of this week, it's kind of going to be just as it comes and goes. We're doing a little bit more jewellery, I think, tomorrow. I have a play with a couple of other concepts I want to just try out, just to see how they work. So a couple of bracelets, I think, and then see how it goes from there. May go back to doing the line after that, or certainly play with the 3D pen, the Creopop, see how that performs. So again, thank you everybody for watching. If you'd like to try and catch me, I'd encourage you to follow me either here on Twitter, not Twitter, this is Twitch, or on Twitter at Zaraganart. That way you'll get notifications when I do go live, hopefully tomorrow. But if you want to just try and catch me, it will be 2000 hours GMT, that's 8 PM UK local time, 2000 hours as I say GMT, and about 2 hours 10 minutes ago in whatever your local time is. Thanks everybody, hope I'll see you again. Okay. I should be next week. I should be okay streaming. Just depending on what activities I get up to during the day. But thanks everybody. Have a good evening. Hope to see you again in the future. And bye for now.